With the yo-ho-ho, it's Tale of the Toaster. Welcome to another Inazuma 11 Aries episode thoughts reviews thing. This is episode 12, and Raimon are going to be taking on Polestar Academy for the second time in this episode. We saw the first goal at the end of the previous ep, where, as a flashback to kind of what Basil was doing in episode 1, Elliot just, boosh, he's scored the first goal in the first 4 seconds from across the field, and it's quite fun, actually. I like that touch, but we'll see how this episode plays out. Well, indeed, it's going to be all about Elliot to start off with. I would say, to kind of sum up the first few minutes in one go, this is going to be one of the more formulaic Inazuma 11 Aries episodes, you could say, because I've complimented this series widely for being very against series traditions and not doing what you'd normally expect of Inazuma, but you've got to have the key essentials at some point in his story. So Polestar, they are that big rival team. They've got to be overcome by Raimon at some point, you would think. Maybe, is this going to be the occasion where it happens? I don't know. At this stage, Aries is a 26 episode season and we're currently on 12, so we're pretty much at the halfway mark. We will be halfway through by the end of the next episode. But for now, Elliot Ember, he's still got his dark backstories that we've got to sort out, and we've also got to be at least losing to Polestar right off the bat. So we do that actually with a brand new move from Elliot. He's kind of being all solo about it and hogging the glory for himself again. But he does actually bust out a new move to get the second goal of the match, because the first one's already in. And it is Perfect Penguin! It's like, the fact that Elliot's motif is penguins is so strange, because, like, he's from Polestar Academy. Penguins was Royal Academy's thing, except this is also kind of Royal Academy anyway, because Jude's here, but it's like, Elliot, he's this guy who's playing football for revenge, and his motif is very firmly penguins. Now, like, I've kind of looked past Penguin Volley because he was just, it was right before a Death Zone. They were just doing royal moves in general. But no, this is a second brand new penguin move just for Elliot. Is he going to keep doing this? I suppose so. 7 seasons into Inazuma 11, we are just going to keep the penguins going and give it to an entire character, I suppose. But I like Perfect Penguin just because it's so quotable. I think I said that about Penguin Volley in one of the earlier reviews. But no, Perfect Penguin is the one where, you could have a penguin, or you could have a perfect penguin. It's like, it's basically just overwritten the word penguin for me at this point. I'm always thinking it in the back of my head. Pretend you're a penguin. Penguin or a perfect penguin. So, yeah, anyway, that scored the second goal. This is, of course, complemented by another flashback on Elliot's side, just again giving us more about Faith. We already know what's gone on with them at this point, but it's just reinforcing, yeah, he still cares, and we actually get to meet a couple of the parents as well. Like Elliot's mum we've seen before, but Faith's dad gets involved for the first time, and he just looks like an absolute chad. I love him. And then we also even see Elliot's dad for the first time, and you know what? We can see where the edginess came from, because his mum's quite pretty, but then the dad is just, he looks completely deadbeat, and it's quite amusing that they went so hard on him. But I'd rather that than just have someone like Victor Blade from Go look completely edgy out of nowhere, with barely any vague resemblance running in the family. At least, yeah, it gives us a reason for that design. But above all, Faith's dad, much as he looks like a chad, he's like, oh, she loves this view, right? And she just stares into the front of a garage, and he calls it a garden. It's like, no, you stupid daddy, she likes the view off the balcony. That should be obvious, but I mean, you can't easily get her up there anyway in her current state, bless her. So middle ground. Anyway, yeah, the takeaway from this, that's why I learned that football is for revenge. That's an actual line from the episode, by the way. The flashback itself is good, and then it ends on a bit of a cringy line like that. But anyway, yeah, we carry on Elliot's little crusade. Specifically, we do that with another Penguin Volley. And that goes to put Polestar Academy 3-0 in the lead at this point. For the first time, Sandra actually attempts to stop it with a splash guard. It didn't work. I think we've only seen the move succeed once at this point. But I don't mind. And I'm going to specify that one out the gate because, right, there's not a huge amount to say about this first half. It's very, like we say, formulaic. Just the rival team getting 3-0 up. No real defying conventions with a Raimon goal in between. So what we're instead going to talk about is Sandra. Is she a big part of this episode? No, not at all. She is here simply to get shots put past her by Elliot, and she can barely stand any resistance. But we've got the fish on for a reason. This is my splash guard in the uniform. Don't know if it was obvious that they were fish, but I am here to stand Norika, basically, because I didn't realise until pretty much after the point of starting these episode recordings, I didn't know she was so unpopular with the fandom, because my experience with the worldwide Inazuma fandom wasn't that great before when I say great, I mean there wasn't much to it. Not that I'd had a bad experience, but like I just didn't know the wider world. I'd spoken to the UK and Dutch communities on Discord, and that was about it. But from what I could see online, a lot of the girls on Twitter and other parts of the fandom, they were using Sandra's profile pics. I hadn't seen Aries for many years, so I had no reason not to assume that people just liked her. And then when I actually watched the season for myself, I didn't have a vague issue. I thought she was quite cool and nice. So like when I started collecting a couple of bad comments about her in my own comments section, actually, I was so confused. And it's like, maybe this is just on my end. I've just happened to have collected other people that don't really like her. So you may notice that I do a lot of community posts on the regular. 3 times now I've done one involving Darren LeChance against Mark Evans, which ended up being a landslide in favour of Mark Evans. Then I wanted Darren to win one to make my friend Bjorn happy, so we gave him a free win against JP, which went marvellously. And then I thought, okay, let's finish off the Darren trilogy with an even contest. Let's have Darren, one of the fairly liked, slightly underrated keepers of Raimon, and let's have Sandra, the one from Raimon who I think is quite cool, and we'll just see what people prefer. And it was a landslide. Darren won with like 89... He had like 80% of the votes. Sandra was barely even getting a fifth. I think she got 17% of the votes. And it's like, what has she done wrong? But I was really keen on reading the comments for that one, just to see what is the opinion on Sandra? Why do people not like her? And apparently it's just because she lets a lot of shots through, is the main opinion I was able to get out of that. And like, Mark Evans let a lot of shots through. You realise how Inazuma 11 works, right? If you want to have more goals from your strikers in an episode, say if you want a 4-3 win rather than a 2-1 win, then yes, your goalkeeper is going to have to let a few shots in. That is necessary for narrative importance. I can't just expect Sandra to never let a goal in. If you don't let goals go in against Raimon, then you're not going to have much of a story. She's going to save some at the end of the day, and her moves are quite cool, and judge her as a character, I think she's really nice. So like, alright, she's being a bit pathetic in this match. She's let 3 goals in from Elliot without any resistance whatsoever, but I don't think that's Sandra's fault. I think that's just setting up the kind of episode we need. I certainly don't hold it against her. So from this point on, the splash guard attire is being worn. We stand Sandra in this. We stand Darren LeChance too. Like, I admit I probably would have voted for Darren anyway in that poll just because he's one of my favourite characters ever. But this is a Sandra appreciating zone, and we're going to keep that going now. Yes, please. Although, granted, it is especially funny that even in the flashback here at half-time, now that it's 3-0 in Polestar's favour and Raimon's looking a bit dejected, they have a little flashback of what football on the island was like. And even in the flashback, some random is just scoring a goal against Sandra in a picture. Like, just some adult living on Backwater Island could sink goals against her. And it's like, this is not her episode, but that is why I'm here, to stand her and back her up. Anyway, the main purpose of this half-time is that apparently Mr. Yi just wasn't even here. He was sat at the desk playing a Game Boy, but he was actually Dean Rush in disguise wearing a papier-mâché Mr. Yi. and now the real guy just appears out of nowhere. Let's turn this match around. Yep, the first half, I'd say it's extremely standard for Inazuma. It's just getting in a semi-villains narrative in there while having the rival team dominate. But now, are we going to have a Raimon comeback, or will Polestar actually win this one? Because we've given up trying to understand the tournament structure. Raimon could win and they'll be through. Raimon could lose and they'll probably find a way to be through anyway. They should be taking on Green Hill Junior High or whatever it is. But yes, Mr. Yi has rolled up, so let's see what his strategies are going to be. So at this point, he introduces Mr. Yi's Mysteries. 3 key principles that are going to get Raimon back to 3-3, hopefully, in this match. First one being perseverance, you know, the Raimon spirit, we can all expect that one. Second is apparently going to be spontaneity. We'll get into that a bit further, I guess. And then the third one is just called faith, which is probably in the wrong episode, really, after we've had Elliot's entire ramble about how he's playing football entirely for the defense of a character called Faith, who is also not the first Faith in Inazuma history, so they just cannot stop using that word. But mainly, the first principle is going to be perseverance, and we can kind of guess how that works. It just needs to be Raimon getting their acts together, and they do that with some good passes laid out by Mr. Yi, and Basil scores with Fire Tornado number 53.5. Knowing my luck, I've probably called it Fire Tornado 53 before, so let's be clear on that. So obviously that's as you would expect, but the main funny part about it is that Elliot just freaks. He cannot stand the idea of 1 goal going in the match he's already winning. Like, Basil scores against Mickey Wayne, he just goes, ah! I don't know how that looked on camera, but enjoy the up view look at my gob, I guess. But Elliot just cannot stand it, and it's quite funny. Jude needs to calm him down and remind him of the teamwork, but yeah, so again, currently still sticking to normal Inazuma stuff, but now is when Mr. Yi is going to really make things look a little different. So Mr. Yi's mystery number 2 is spontaneity. I mean, that's the one-word version, but they're also chucking around longer versions of the same names as well throughout the episode. But the spontaneity is probably the first part of this episode that really does actually catch the viewer off guard. You know, every match so far in Inazuma, in Aries, I've not been able to tell where it's going, but this is kind of at that point where you think, cinematic parallels to Raimon vs. Royal from back in Season 1. I think they need a win here to get through, so I'm waiting for a comeback to happen at this point. But for it to happen in the way it does here for the second goal, not expected at all. We actually put the focus on Trevor Cook, our defender in the cap with the long hair, the one who seemed like he was going to have a really mean dad, but then he turned around to just make him some fish sushi and then it was never touched on again. So we've been waiting to learn more about this guy, and he does get a good little role to play here, actually. So he plays in defence, but his actual role, as given to him in secret training by Mr. Yi, is the libero. And this is somewhat considerable. You can compare it to what Mark Evans did in Season 2 of the anime, and I guess kind of the game, but it wasn't really touched upon. So when Mark was playing out of goal and as a defender instead, he was described by the anime as a sweeper. A sweeper and libero are both football terms, and they mean much the same thing, but in fact I think they were originally 2 different words for the same thing, but they've kind of evolved over time to mean slightly different stuff. And that's actually quite represented in this as well, actually, because my understanding of a sweeper is that they are a defender who can freely go outside of their position to go chase the ball over that side or sweep it up from over there. And true, when Mark was playing on the pitch, he was still mainly sticking to defence in those classic seasons, apart from when he was going to go for a gigaton head or an Inazuma break or anything like that, but he'd do that from the goal anyway. Whereas with a libero, I think there's more focus on actually going upfield. Again, I'm not much of a football expert. Just done some basic Googling and watching Inazuma 11 for, you know, that's never a good idea for learning about football in reality, is it? But basically, Trevor Cook, he still has his defensive position, but he's kind of willing to go on the attack and do some midfielding once he's got the ball. And that's what he does. He gets a sliding tackle and goes for a little run. And indeed, he actually gets a special move for that purpose. And that's one called Sparky Spin. The move itself is quite fun. There's not many electricity moves in a series called Inazuma 11. That is the Japanese word for lightning. So there really should be more electric moves. And even then, this is kind of still more wind than it is electricity. But Sparky Spin, up into the air, spin, 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 electric, bash, I've landed, I have midfielded, and I'm going further up the pitch. It's cool. It's unexpected. Having an actual libero-themed move. Mark Evans certainly never got any midfielding moves back when he was a sweeper. So I like this. It's giving him something unique to do. We've got Cliff as your normal Jack Wallside type. You've got Trevor Cook doing something new as a libero. And then there's also the other two defenders doing something. I mean, Kiko is there to be the comic relief, I guess, with Adriano. He's got Twister Trap at least. But the point is, I like that Trevor Cook is a defender with a midfielding move. He's got a unique role to play. I just hope that at some point he does actually get a defensive special move as well, because he is still a defender more so than he's a midfielder. It wouldn't feel right if his only special move was midfielding. Otherwise he'd feel like a Todd Ironside, and no one wants to be like that. He actually scores, though, with a cheeky chip shot, which is, I didn't expect that. He's done defending in this little run. He's done midfielding as well with this special move. Did he need to score off the back of that? Not necessarily, but he still does it in a kind of defendery way, baiting out the goalkeeper and then getting it in with a normal chip shot. So I like it, and we are now 3-2 in Polestar's favour with 1 goal left to go. But something does happen along the way here, and it's once again good and bad. We're kind of talking about real-world football a lot in this episode already, but we're going to do it again because, as you know, Polestar Academy, the best player on the pitch, in my opinion, is Aka Reese. When I say best, I mean as a character, not necessarily as a player, but he is talented as well. We stand Mizukamiya. But all he's done in this match is kind of talk to Elliot for a bit, and then eventually he finally comes out and does some defending to stop Sonny from making a shot while Trevor was doing his run up the pitch. Does he do containment zone, his actual defensive move? No. Does he do a sliding tackle? No. Or any other normal Inazuma defense? Probably not. Instead, he just goes up to Sonny and pushes him. And it's like, I didn't expect this from my sweet and kind looking friend here, but at the same time, I appreciate that they're making someone actually play football like a real-world defender. Inazuma has always kind of glamorized football somewhat and made it look like friends can do anything unless it's like Almighty Faith or a team of aliens or whatever beating the crap out of each other. But just to see a normal defender actually just shove someone out of the way for the sake of defense, it doesn't reflect the best on the character that I like so much, but actually, yeah, it's that bit of it's that twinge of added realism, so I'll give it that, even if he has actually injured Sonny's ankle in the process of that one. Whoops, you didn't do that, did you, mate? Can you see that? You didn't do that, did you? There we go, you can see the first recording after the Bai unboxing. Yes, these videos take a while to come out. The episode is almost over now. We've just got to try and get that one last goal for Raimon to even the scores. I thought they were going to save it for the next episode, but it's very clear that it's going to happen. And we actually do that with a new special tactic called Puppet Master. This somehow reflects Mr. Yi's mystery number 3 of Faith. I don't really get how, but it's a special tactic, so it's good for spacing out Polestar's players and moving them to one side, and then just Sonny gets a normal goal off the back of it. So, there's not a great deal I can say about the special tactics, because they all do start to look quite similar with the same grid pattern, name in the centre, something happens off screen, and then whoever initiated the special tactic has the ball and does something with it. Case in point, we even get another one. Coach Travis finally gets his first line of the episode. We've got Celia and Coach Travis on Polestar Academy, and they're doing almost nothing, and it's very, very sad. Celia doesn't even get a line at all in this episode, but yeah, they then go for their own special tactic to give Polestar some momentum back now that they're 3-3, and Jude Sharp introduces zoned out. And yeah, I'm pretty zoned out with the special tactics at this point as well, to be honest. It's another grid thing, name. It's a defensive move, and Jude's got the ball. Oh no, what are they going to do? We'll find out in the next episode. And probably none of these special tactics will ever appear again, by the way. I think most of them are one-offs. I'm quite a frequenter of Sporkle quizzes. I like doing the can you remember every Inazuma Hetsatsu, or every Robot Wars competitor, or every flag of the world. But if you got me to name every special tactic from Inazuma 11 Aries, I think I'm going for like a solid 10% completion ratio. I'm really struggling with these, but I have officially acknowledged zoned out, so maybe I'll not forget it. But that's it for the episode anyway. This one has been mostly following traditions, just rival teams winning and then Raimon starts making a comeback. It's more normal than most, but still spiced up enough by a bit of fun from Mr. Yi and Trevor Cook and Akaris. Akaris didn't actually do anything good at all, but I'm going to credit him for it anyway. Same with Sandra, she's been useless in this one, but we rep nevertheless, and you know, more Jude Sharp's always good, right? I'm truly completing the ascension here. My last name is Sharp, so here's the Jude. Just poked myself in the eye, haven't I? Sorry, Elliot, you've got to concentrate. Special tactics, zoned out. I don't know where I'm pointing, but hopefully somewhere in the direction of the phone. Well, that's it for Inazuma 11 Aries. In the next episode, episode 13, while the goggles fall off my face, we will watch the end of the Raimon versus Polestar match. Ta-ta for now. I look like I'm wearing headphones.